Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at the University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Welcome in on a Monday, a new week of Oregon Athletics here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you, taking you through what happened in Oregon Athletics over the weekend. But first, got to give a big thank you to Chris Clayton, filling in on the shows last week. Was able to, for me and Joey, both get out a little bit over the bye week. Had a great time. And a huge thank you for Chris for holding down the fort back in studio last week here in the Country Financial Studio. Went through a whole lot last week, previewed a lot of different golf going on. Currently, right now, men's golf is in action at the Tyndall up in Sahamish, Washington. I didn't pronounce that right. Washington. They're playing up in Washington, near Seattle-ish area. Oregon in a pretty stacked field this week with a few ranked teams, a few Big Ten opponents, a lot of quality West Coast teams. Currently, Oregon, as they are through just about 16 through 18 for the guys on the course for men's golf. They're actually going to be playing 36 holes today in a 54-hole tournament, this Tyndall, where they'll play 36 holes today, 18 tomorrow. Currently, Oregon is 5 over par in that tournament, sitting in 11th out of 14th. But a stacked field and a whole lot of movement yet to go for Oregon on the golf front. On the football front, we have a kick time that came in over the weekend for the Ducks as they travel south to UCLA in the first Big Ten football game for Oregon. The conference matchup at Rose Bowl Stadium at 8 p.m. Pacific time. That will be on Fox on the TV side of things. That means it's going to be Big Ten after dark, potentially. Is that becoming a thing? I don't know. But it is going to be a late and a night game for Oregon football going up against UCLA. Means pregame show with Joey, Jerry, Jorgie, Dusty. The guys will be down in Los Angeles. It will start at 6 o'clock for the pregame show, and the festivities will really get going at 8 o'clock for the Ducks versus the Bruins on the football front. That's just the collegiate football front, because over the weekend on the professional football front, Pro Ducks were in action, and it was really cool to see the Pro Ducks together in the Broncos and Buccaneers games. And I think it's great that Bucky Irving plays for the Buccaneers. Bucky the Buck. It makes too much sense. And so you see here, if you're live with us on YouTube, Facebook here in the 1 o'clock hour, you got Bo Nix, Alex Forsyth, Troy Franklin, Bucky Irving. The whole band got together, and it was a really great game for really all of the Ducks that were in attendance, where Bo Nix got his first win as a quarterback. Bucky Irving, he's slowly taken over that running back one spot in Tampa Bay. Really cool to see those guys get back together on Sunday. But what was almost cooler on Sunday was the atmosphere that we were able to see inside of Matthew Nutt Arena for Oregon as the volleyball team took on Oregon State. And the Ducks, they took care of business to clean up their non-conference slate as Oregon won 3-0 in straight sets. And it really wasn't that competitive throughout for an Oregon team that has improved a ton since the beginning of the season and really dominated in this game in front of over 3,200 fans in attendance. Keep in mind, students aren't even back yet. Class starts next week for Oregon. Week of welcome is towards the end of this week. That was a great atmosphere inside of Matthew Knight Arena. Thank you to everyone who showed up, supported this Oregon volleyball squad, and it'll be even more electric as now Oregon transitions in to Big Ten play. But I think even the bigger news that came out of that Sunday victory for Oregon on the hardwood, win number 150 for Matt Ulmer in his career. Congratulations, Coach Ulmer, notching a big-time milestone for Oregon. We actually, here in the studio, we have Coach Ulmer's first win ball. This is the game from Matt Ulmer's first ever career victory. It was actually against what will be a Big Ten Conference opponent, where Oregon ended up winning 3-1 against Nebraska on August 25th, 2017. Long way from 2017. Congratulations to Coach Ulmer, notching win number 150 to many, many, many more for Coach Ulmer. Congratulations, Coach. Big-time milestone, big-time victory as the Ducks are now headed in to Big Ten play. As Oregon went through their non-conference, 8-1, Oregon's record currently on an 8-match winning streak. The only loss for the Ducks was against Pitt. By the way, Pitt hasn't dropped a set all year. The closest that Pitt has been to dropping sets was against Oregon in sets 2 and 3 of the very opening match of the season. Oregon took that challenge against Pitt, played incredibly tough against the Panthers, and have ever since got victory after victory after victory. 5-set wins in this non-conference slate over quality tournament teams, GCU and BYU, where Oregon had match point against them in both of those matches. Oregon staved off losses and were able to turn them into victories. Resiliency for the Ducks, and also a whole lot of sweeps for Oregon throughout non-conference play as the Ducks now head in to conference play. Oregon will enter into Big Ten play as now the number 11 ranked team in the country. The new AVCA volleyball poll for week 4 just came out earlier this morning if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, and Oregon sitting just outside that top 10 at number 11. Strong weekend for the Ducks. Oregon got it done in front of a really strong crowd at Matthew Knight Arena. And Coach Matt Ulmer, probably a little bit happier with things than he was last week. We'll hear from the head coach of Oregon volleyball when we return. After a quick timeout, we'll get to Matt Ulmer's post-match thoughts on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey, we're back here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We didn't get any shout over the weekend. It was a football work week over the weekend, over last week, as the Ducks didn't have a game this Saturday. It allowed for us to get a little bit more viewing time on some of the other teams around the country, but it's just not the same without shout on a Saturday. Good for Oregon being back next week on the road, going up against UCLA. We got kick time, 8 o'clock Pacific. In the afternoon is going to be kick time for Oregon UCLA on the football side of things. Oregon volleyball on Sunday. They got the job done against Oregon State. Ducks beat the Beavs last week in football. Ducks beat the Beavs this week in volleyball. It's always good when you beat the Beavs. And Matt Ulmer, someone who he'll say wasn't necessarily as happy with Oregon's performance on a midweek sweep over Portland State, thought the Ducks took care of business more so against Oregon State. Coach Ulmer brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, better cancer care close to home. Let's hear from Coach Ulmer.
I thought it was our most complete match of the year. I thought we were very consistent throughout. Thought we controlled the ball better. We've been working a lot on ball control. It's a big piece for us. As you can see, our block is pretty dynamic and can really mess with a lot of people. So can we serve the ball more accurately? Can we be calmer on our side in the scramble plays, get more swings? And I thought, we did a much better job of that. So that was really exciting to see.
What a difference 8 games can make. What do you, from your perspective, what is just the biggest difference from the last time that you faced that Oregon State team to where you guys are now? Because clearly it shows in the scores and the stats. It's a lot different.
From the exhibition? I used the exhibition to see who we all were, and to see how we would handle an environment that wasn't our own gym and against us. So we had a lot of different people. We had rotating lineups. So it was exactly what it was supposed to be. I wasn't worrying about getting a win in the exhibition. But I was seeing where we could go, and it was really helpful for us, to kind of figure out who we are, what our identity is. And we've had a lot of growing opportunities in the last couple weeks since that. And I think we've learned a lot. I think we're definitely becoming a much better team. There's a lot less hesitation on the floor, which is massive, for us. Again, we've lost a lot of ball control to graduation here, so we've had a lot of new pieces that are trying to figure out what to do by each other and what they should be taking, what their responsibilities are. And so I thought tonight it looked like everybody knew what they were trying to do, and that was exciting throughout. And again, we're just finding, Chris is really starting to figure out her offense. I thought our connections tonight were really solid with everybody. When we get our middles involved and we get Noemi going, it's just totally different when it's not just the Mimi show. And I think it was like halfway through the second set, I looked up and she was maybe last in kills on our team. I'm like, that's a good sign, and then you're going to get a dose of her when the time comes. But, I thought that was really, really exciting for us.
Coach, do you feel like, go ahead. What was Kristen passing?
Say it again. What did we pass? I think we only passed over a 2, is what Jerry told me, which I think he's pretty tough. We'll see what the analytics say. But I felt like we were in system more. I thought Chris was able to choose who she wanted to set. So I thought it felt good. But the numbers say we didn't pass great. But I'll take whatever we did today consistently. So I thought that was pretty good. And again, when that happens, everybody's involved. Some of those swings that Oni hits, it's just, nobody's going to be able to do anything about them. I've never seen anyone do some of the things that she does. So I'm happy she's on our team. And again, we're starting to figure out how to really use her best. If we control the ball, then we get to get her involved more.
What did you discover during that road trip and in this game, and what do you take from these last several wins heading obviously into Big Ten conference play?
I think every time we get out there, you really just see more and more what we're doing consistently or inconsistently, and so we go back to practice. So we had, after Portland State, we had a really tough practice on Friday. And normally it's not a practice I'd want to do this time of year when generally our bodies can't take it, but it was a lot of ball control, a lot of bending, really tough, grueling type of practice, high standards. And I think overall what we've learned is our standards that have been set by the group, whether they know it or not, are not high enough. And so I think that everybody really needs to elevate what they're capable of doing, believing what they're capable of doing. And so just really pushing the group to see all the different things that they can do differently. And again, it was a really good practice. They handled it very well. I was very thankful. They knew after we were really sloppy against Portland State. They all knew that it wasn't going to be a fun practice on Friday. They said, we are anticipating this not being a fun practice and we're ready for the challenge, which was great. And again, they responded well. And I thought they saw really immediate results today from that. So for us, we'll continue to dissect where we can elevate our game. But it's getting closer.
The development, the group you have on the floor at the end, just what do moments like that, what can they mean to players, teams, programs in terms of development kind of long term?
Yeah, we don't have as many red shirts, this year as we have in the past. So I don't know, the last 2 years, I feel like we haven't even had those moments really to get people extra playing time just because they weren't even available to do it. So, I think it's massive. There's no way you can substitute. There's a couple thousand people out there cheering and, high stress and everybody's staring at you and the other team's coming and you can't simulate that in practice. It's just not the real thing. So how do you handle your nerves and how do you execute? And again, I thought everybody did a great job that we were able to give a lot of people those moments tonight. And we did that against Portland State and I thought we didn't handle it well. I thought tonight we handled it better. So again, they're just starting to get more people are gaining experience. And so those moments are less scary moving forward.
Naomi just talked about how she was able to bring more of like a competitive edge. Last time it was just an exhibition, but now it's a real rivalry game. What are some of the benefits of keeping the rivalry, especially heading into a really competitive Big Ten conference play?
I mean, we'll have to do research, but I got to think that for a non-conference match at home, this is probably our biggest crowd since I've been here. Right, without the school back. So that's one thing, right? Look at the crowd. The crowd's excited for this match. So again, I think that really provides us what we need, some experience with the big crowd before we get into Big Ten play, which, we're going to have a lot of those. I'm expecting Friday's going to be a really big crowd, probably double what we just had. So it's nice to be able to ramp up into that a little bit. So I think that was good. And again, this week, we didn't know what our next week's schedule was going to look like. It could have been the at Ohio State, at Penn State next week, right? We didn't know. So when we're scheduling, we wanted to be home fourth weekend. This weekend before going into conference play just because of the travel piece. So being able to be here, being able to play the two locals, I think it was great. And then for the fans, obviously they enjoyed it and they were loud and it was, I think, a good taste in our players' mouths after today.
Are there merits to considering different priorities though, Matt? Because y'all have dominated this series. And if Scott Ruick's not going to play them in women's basketball, and that's being competitive, and that sells both places. They don't draw particularly well. They haven't been competitive. Washington State is the more competitive team of two remaining Pac-12. Is there merits to re-examining what there is to the future of this, for this particular sport for you guys?
I think we will always re-examine what's going on, but there was a lot of unknown this year, right, going into the conference, which we've never done. And again, we didn't have a set schedule. So the fact that we're home next weekend, okay, maybe we could have been on the road this week, but we didn't know that when it's time to schedule. We schedule these things months ago, right? And we didn't get our conference schedule for a while. But no, I think it's important for our players to see what a rivalry is like, and I think tradition does matter. And in my opinion, Oregon State might be down a little bit right now, but I think they have a really good coach and a really good coaching staff, and I think they're going to become a really good team more and more. So I just want to keep that game, and I'm excited that we get to do that.
Block was certainly significant today, but anything else defensively, because it's only the third time in 10 years they've been held to 0.
I thought our block was so good. I mean, obviously the numbers are good, but I thought even the block stuffs that we didn't get, we made great block touches, and we just slowed everything down. Again, I thought we served, even though we didn't have a ton of aces, although 6 is not bad, but we didn't have a ton of aces. I thought we were putting pressure consistently on them. Our blockers, I thought, were making great reads. I thought our coverage was so good that, they normally score on a lot of those plays, and they didn't because I thought of what we did. Was excellent. We had really good execution. And then when your block is set up, because of the serve, all of a sudden our floor defense, we know exactly where to go. We know the gaps we need to fill, and it just all works together. So again, I don't think them hitting 0 was a negative on them. I think we were really good today. I think if we do that against a lot of teams, they're going to have a hard time scoring. But, again, the key for us is we have not been very consistent. Today we were very consistent. And if we can be consistent moving forward, then we're going to be just fine.
Where does that success in the blocking game come from? Both Noemi and Oni talked about the practice, but how do you can you teach that? Is that something they're naturally gifted with? How do you find success in that?
I'd like to think I can teach things. I hope so. I hope that's why I'm here. But this group is very physical at the net. Our shoulders are very strong. Noemi Colby, oh, you hit their shoulders, they ain't going anywhere. They're not budging, So they're able to fight off just a ton of plays. Again, I thought number 4 from Oregon State tried to tool the block multiple times, and she probably scores on that a lot. Noemi's arms didn't go anywhere. She had 10 blocks in a 3-set match. No, that's got to be a record. I don't know. That's crazy. But we're really physical. And, Coach Rad, there's no better strength coach in the country than Coach Rad, and he's our guy. And he loves working with this group, and they love working with him. So I think they're in great shape. And our game plan was strong, and we executed really well. So a lot of things go into it.
Don't mean to kind of bring this back up, but earlier in pregame, I was noticing you and Coach Bohanec talking. Just if you can share what were you guys talking about, and what do you kind of say again to that program that's still trying to figure out their identity and moving forward, obviously with them in the future?
We're talking about kind of where we're at, the struggles that we both have. We're trying to figure out how to become our best versions of ourselves. And I feel like hopefully I have a lot of coaching friends in the community, and that's someone that I can rely on also, and hopefully I can be there for her. And so we're working for each other. Again, we want them to win every other match from here on out, right? We don't want them to drop another one. So anything that we can do to help each other, and that's what they want from us too. So since we're not in the same conference anymore, we can really cheer for each other, which I know sounds weird in the rivalry, but we can cheer for each other throughout.
A lot about being aggressive. Now that this team has a little bit more experience just through the preseason, are you seeing that aggression kind of come out the way that I know ball control is a big focus, but are you seeing the level of aggression that you want to see heading into Big Ten play from them?
I mean, a big piece for us is connections, right? So figuring out the setter. Robbie started for us. The first one has been Chris Sense, but even both of them in practice, really finding out where the hitters want the ball. Hitters really starting to trust the setters. And again, we go pretty fast in our offense, so you really have to have that relationship dialed in. Again, I thought today was the best we looked consistently throughout. So when you're starting to feel confident where that ball's going to be, you're going in to tear the leather off of it, And I thought tonight everybody was doing that. And again, that's just going to put a ton of pressure on the other side.
Collier, you mentioned it earlier how she was still making plays even though she was lowest on the team in kills. I'm just curious, what's it like for you as a coach to have a player that no matter where you plug her, she's going to make a positive impact for your team?
I mean, Mimi's amazing, So she's been amazing since day one stepping on campus. So again, for her, everybody has an adjustment right now. There's not one person doing the same job they did for us last year, right? So Mimi, again, is learning how to go past to attack, being a serving target, how to bring even more defense and ball control. She's trying to figure out how to become a leader on the court, where she's had some great leaders around her for the last 2 years where she didn't really need to be looked upon for that. And it's a challenge. And again, when I'm talking about raising the standards, we had a conversation this week about raising standards, and her standards are already high, but they need to be higher, and she can execute even better. And I thought today the errors that she made, I loved the errors that she made. I thought her intent was so good throughout the whole match. And again, if she does that, whether they know they're looking to her or not, everybody's noticing what Mimi does, right? She's one of those players. Oni's the same way. It's like, what they're doing, and we need them. We need them to be great examples for everybody else. And again, the more that they are, everybody's calmer around them, and then we play better as a group.
That's Coach Ulmer after the sweep over Oregon State. And I think it was really telling where he was talking about the standards for this team. He said the standards set by the group, whether they know it or not, isn't high enough. And the standards should be set really high because Oregon has been really good throughout this entire non-conference slate. Went toe-to-toe against Pitt, who's one of, if not the best team in the country right now. Oregon's won every other match that they've played. The standard should be really high for Oregon volleyball, and there should be a big showing of fans in support. There was on Sunday. Over 3,200 fans in attendance. It'll get even more so as Oregon enters into Big Ten play with the students back in town. In fact, opening up Big Ten play on Friday, where Oregon will play Illinois. The Ducks will be giving away a free Oregon Big Ten lanyard to the first 1,000 fans in attendance. And then on Saturday, the Ducks going up against Indiana. It will be the team's Stomp Out Cancer night and will also be preceded by a blood drive at the Ford Alumni Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So a lot of things going on for Oregon volleyball around this next upcoming weekend as the Ducks enter into Big Ten play and going through this last weekend as Oregon had their rivalry match against Oregon State. And it was really a party in MKA. Some would say it's a block party. I would. I would say it's a block party, especially with Noemi Glover. 10 blocks? 3 sets? 10 blocks? 8 for Onyefabu? Yeah. Yeah, pretty strong. We're going to hear from them both after this timeout. Strong performances at the net from the Ducks on the volleyball court when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into the Country Financial Studio here on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Still talking Ducks and their victory over the Beavs in straight sets on Sunday. We heard from Coach Ulmer. Now it's time to hear from the players. Onyefabu, Noemi Glover. They had a really strong performance at the net. You heard Coach Ulmer talk about the strength in that Oregon block. These two are a huge, huge part of it. The Beavs, hitting percentage of 0. That's 0.000. That means you got a pretty strong block. Oregon with 10 blocks from Glover and 8 from Onyefabu. The Ducks combined for about 15 blocks in this match. It was a strong showing from Oregon with their net presence defensively. Let's hear from the two who led the way up front. Noemi Glover, Onyefabu.
You had an exhibition game, whole 5 sets to kind of reflect on. Just how much different are you now than you were the last time you saw that team?
I think for that exhibition match, that was kind of our first match. Like, okay, we've been working a lot through the spring and winter. Okay, what can we bring out? I think we had a lot of nerves. I think that we were all kind of just playing to play, rather not to play to like win and get that big environment going. So I think that we really made it a key point to like work on being that competitive best self out there. And we really did a really good job. I think everyone had a great energy and everyone really wanted to put the ball away and make those big plays that we need.
Yeah, I would say that the last exhibition and all our past matches have just been lessons for us, win or loss. So it's good that we're growing and we're moving together to have better games like tonight.
What do you think has been the biggest difference for this team from obviously opening the season with a loss and now talking about a string of several wins that keep on going, you guys?
I think we're getting used to playing next to each other, and we're working on consistency.
Yeah, we're working a lot on the first ball contact, kind of whether it's a serve or whether it's defense, passing, just being more aware and knowing that the ball's going to come to us with the platform and we can just kind of do our best to control it. So I think a lot during practice we focused on those soft balls, down balls, tips, getting those coverage plays up so we can run our big hitters. So I think that we've been doing that really well and staying like assertive on those first balls.
What does it mean for you guys going into conference play this week, I guess, I was going to say next week, on this winning streak?
I think it's important to try to maintain focusing on our side because we're going to play a lot of big teams, a lot of big names, but at the end of the day, we have to play Oregon volleyball and focus on our side. So I think today and just these past couple games, no matter what, we've been working towards focusing on our side.
Yeah, I think just like continuing to play our game and knowing what that looks like and practicing that in the gym. I think it's just really exciting, like getting that experience, going places and just playing volleyball. So I think it's going to be really exciting for what's coming up. We have a bunch of great matches, like home and away. So I think just it's going to be really fun.
You guys racked up 14 blocks, held Oregon State to a negative hitting percentage. I'm curious, what was working for you guys, maybe in practice this week or just in general that led to that production?
We work on blocking a lot in our gym, a lot, and working on reading and just being smart. So I feel like that helped a lot for tonight, but it's a lot of work and a lot of practice.
Yes, definitely a lot of time spent working on those blocks and just working on really hand positioning. I think that sometimes we think because we jump so high that our block also needs to be really high up. And I think when you start just working on those hands and getting pressed, then you can get those good plays and reading the hitter well.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Going off of that, just how did the aggression at the service line help with that number?
It helped a lot because they kind of made their offense a lot more predictable. And yeah, I would say serving is a huge key for us that we've been talking about for the past couple weeks. So it's nice to see that it does work and it helps a lot in the front row as well.
Yeah, I think a lot, like our serving just really gets the play started. And like when we know to be consistent with that serving, we can kind of play a game of volleyball better. We can get their team stressed out. We can get them whatever, and we can do our game from there.
Obviously, a new era begins for you guys, Big Ten Conference play. What are you two both most looking forward to in getting this new season kind of underway for you guys in the Big Ten Conference?
I'm very excited to have challenging and tough games coming up. I think so far our preseason has been tough, and I think continuing on playing these big names, like we said, it's going to be a battle, but I think the entire team is willing to fight and is very excited for that fight.
Yeah, I think really just making a name for ourselves. We have a great start and we have a great foundation. We just need to keep playing those teams and getting in those big matches, and then we can show what we can do from there.
You both speak obviously a lot of keys throughout the team to the way you guys have been playing, but Chris's development, her comfort level, and how much that's been a key to the balance you guys have played with, just the connection you seem to be playing with at this point.
I think that we have a really great connection. I think we all work really hard, and we all have talked so much together about what we want to accomplish as a team this season, and just really trying to work through and work with each other to collaborate and do those great jobs. So I think, yes, Chris has stepped up in a great way, and she's a great leader, and she does a great job of kind of running that offense. And then everyone, like our DSs, all of our passers, we do a great job of setting it up and running it around, and we can be really solid by doing that.
Yeah. And I would definitely say that she's worked to build the trust with us, and we've done the same with her. So that connection feels, at this point, pretty strong.
How important is it for you guys to still have these rivalry games, especially like before going into Big Ten conference season?
Well, honestly, especially this match, it was really important for us to play our game, considering the last time we played against them. So kind of stuff like that is kind of more encouraging for us. But I would think going forward, we have a couple matches that we're really looking forward to, and we want to bring that same energy.
I think rivalry games really bring out that like fight to win. It really brings out kind of going at each other's throats, and I think that a lot of teams are going to bring that no matter what throughout this whole season, throughout this whole journey in the Big Ten. So I think it just kind of gives us a heads up of how teams are going to want to come at you and how you should respond.
You feel like you guys are going to discover some new rivalries this season, and are you hoping for that as well, obviously, when competition begins?
Definitely. I think there probably will be. We haven't played, or at least I haven't played against some of these teams that we're going to play, so we'll see.
I think already in the past in the tournament, we've always had some good Big Ten matchup that is key for either our success or theirs. So I think definitely along, like, there's a lot of high level volleyball, and with that comes great matchups and great competition. So definitely, I would hope so.
High-level volleyball going into Big Ten play for the Ducks as Oregon opens up their Big Ten slate against Illinois on Friday at 7:30. First 1,000 fans in attendance will receive an Oregon Big Ten lanyard. And then the next day, Oregon against Indiana at 5:30. It's going to be the Stomp Out Cancer Night. Also, earlier in the day at the Ford Alumni Center, there will be a blood drive from 10 to 2 p.m. if you want to participate in that as well. But high-level volleyball coming into Matthew Knight Arena. It's going to be very, very fun as Oregon enters into Big Ten play on the volleyball front, enters into Big Ten play on the football front this weekend as well. Kick time on Saturday at 8 o'clock on the road against UCLA. Team that already kicked off their Big Ten play, Oregon Soccer. Got a Big Ten win on the road at Maryland and at Rutgers over the weekend. We're hearing from Oregon Soccer head coach Graham Ael in studio when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano, Coach Ael.
How we doing?
Hey, Coach, off the road trip, getting a win on the road. That plane ride back always feels better after you win on a Sunday, doesn't it?
Much better, yeah, much better.
How was the travel going on the road, Big Ten play? I know the people want to know. It's the first Oregon event that had to go on the road across country, playing Rutgers and Maryland over the weekend. Just how was the travel logistically?
Pretty easy. I mean, we drove up to Portland. That was the easiest route for us to go. Just go direct from Portland into Newark, and then kind of weird. I mean, you know, when we played Colorado, Utah, we wouldn't get back to Eugene until 12:30, you know, just with flights and stuff like that. Especially when we were coming out of Salt Lake and landed into Portland yesterday at 7:45 or something like that. So it's crazy, yeah.
The direct flight certainly helps as well.
Yeah, it's massive getting the time back and things like that. So I was talking with the student athletes about it. They're like, hey, this is weird. The fact we're back this early from a conference game.
I was expecting you to come in maybe with some bags under the eye. You look well rested.
not many people tell me I look well, so there you go. That's a heck of a compliment, right? No, it's not that big of a deal. I think in the culture of our sport, these kids, like I said last week, they're used to flying to, the Portland kids, the Washington kids flying to Florida and to play in an ECNL event and then waking up at 8 a.m. the next morning and playing a game. So it's nothing new for them. So for our sport, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Do you have any Swedish fish on the flight? I know that was a big time candy.
No, what did I do? We were running a little bit late to the airport yesterday, so I do enjoy Dunkin' Donuts coffee. So I won't lie, I did a coffee and a donut. That was my dinner.
Healthy.
Healthy.
But really, over the weekend, it was quite a difference between the two games.
Yeah.
Just your kind of overall assessment over the weekend with the 3-0 loss to Rutgers, but also the 2-0 win to Maryland. Is there a way to kind of sum up the weekend as a whole with two games that were played really differently?
Yeah, we felt as though started the first 10 minutes against Rutgers okay. Obviously fell behind to the goal, and we looked at that as a team and how we could have changed that just in terms of the build out, in terms of how we were set up when we were going to lose it. And then came back in the second half and thought we started the second half extremely well. Started the second half the way we would have intended to really have started the first half in terms of getting pressure on the ball and being able to kind of affect the ball that way. And then when we getting a hold of the ball, having a bigger impact in possession, and then obviously we go down to 10 players. That's hard, at any point, especially when you're chasing the game at 2-0. But still, I thought we worked extremely hard on that and made it difficult for Rutgers. And then you get the turnaround on Sunday, especially that we tried to stretch the extra miles out on the legs that we had to do with 10 players. You just got to do the running for 11 players with 10, which is quite a bit more. Tried to stretch it out through the game so it wouldn't affect us as much on Sunday. But I thought our kids, we had some illness in the group and we had a couple of different pieces. We obviously had a suspension in the group, so we moved some pieces around. Shifted shape in the middle of the game against Maryland as well to do some different things. And I thought our kids were tremendous, the way they went about it, the way they reacted. And anytime you can get a 2-0 win on the road, that's a big deal.
That's part of the tactics of the game is shifting constantly throughout.
Yep.
Why did you feel like, I know you just mentioned the potential, all of the things that go on and involved, but why did you feel like it was necessary to continue to shift things up throughout? Did you feel like it was optimizing your team's play, and did you feel like you got that?
Yeah, we just we went up 2-0 and wanted to shore up some areas and make sure we protect the shutout, and we just felt as though they were trying to go around us a little bit more, and so we just gave a little bit more help in the wide areas, help to our outside backs, and so I thought our kids adjusted seamlessly to it and executed it really well.
Setting the tone early. You got up early against Maryland, a goal in the 26th minute by Haley McWhirter. The first half against Maryland, how do you feel like your team performed in that, starting out that game?
Yeah, we were good. I mean, we knew. Again, we knew on the road we wanted to be really solid, not give them anything at all, to give them any type of momentum. I thought we did that really well. And like I said, we had some different pieces. We had to play Livy down in the 6, and Mako played down as a centre-back. Carly Cormack made her first start. So we were a little bit different in terms of how we started Haley on the right side. So a little bit different in terms of how we started that piece. But we're really solid early on in terms of how we defended. And then we should have scored probably within the first, minute of the game. We had a really good chance in the first minute. Really went out on the front foot really well against Maryland. And then took a little bit took about the next 10 minutes right until we scored, took a little bit of pressure on board there that way. But got the goal to go out ahead, and then thought we managed our ways through the half really well. And then we said, second half, wanted to come on the first 15 and make sure we did a good job in the second half that way. And I thought, like I said, the kids executed really well.
Second half as well, you were able to stretch the game to a 2-goal lead. Arian Hisman-Bowler gets the goal there in the 63rd. It's the second half as well. It really felt like we talked last week about a consistent game throughout and playing for the full 90 minutes. Do you feel like your team showcased that on Sunday?
Yeah, I thought it was a different type of performance. I thought once we went up 2-0, we kind of strangled the life out of the game and just kind of killed the game that way. And that was kind of our intention. When you're on the road, you you don't want to give any type of home team any type of momentum. And that's probably what we've been kind of guilty of prior in terms of giving a team momentum and then us having to fight that back, and you're on the road, and there's all those pieces you got to work against. So I thought we just did a really, really mature performance of just, killing the game.
In that second half, only allowed one shot for the opposing team. When you are in control of the game and you're forcing the other team to chase, and they don't even have opportunities to put a ball close to the net, that obviously in a sport where you're trying to put it in the net, it helps a ton.
Well, that's team defending. I mean, when you're able to get the pressure from up the front, and from our forwards and midfielders, they work extremely hard in terms of what they're doing, and so if we're able to defend that high up the field and defend that way, obviously allows us to get the ball back up a little bit higher, but just makes it more difficult for the opposition, and frustrates them, and just thought we did that really well.
How much of that is also just sheer ball control, dominating possession, keeping it away from the opponent?
A little bit. I mean, I think in our sport, you can actually allow the opposition to I think we only had 30% possession yesterday. The possession piece is, I think, kind of irrelevant. I mean, there's teams that went 5-0 and have 25% possession. It's what you do with the ball when you get the ball, because the way you can swing the ball around the back 54 times, and that's going to count as part of your possession, but it's where you ultimately do your damage. And again, Haley's goal, excellent in terms of that piece, and the goal that Ari scored, great ball from Sydney Hennessy, and again, Haley's putting in a challenge, the ball drops, and then Ari's super composed to score her first career goal.
You mentioned it a little bit, but getting it done on the road, getting the first road win of the season, what is different about it? How do you feel like your team was able to execute on the road on Sunday that hasn't been done before?
Just very composed. Started the game quickly, but very composed. Executed the game plan excellently, and again, I keep coming back to the word composed. Just there was composure about it. Good concentration to get the job done, so really proud of them. They should be proud of themselves.
Same with Big Ten conference play. It's the first conference win in Big Ten play for any Oregon athletic squad. Your team got it done. Was there anything different about a Big Ten conference win now that you got the first one?
Nothing. I mean we've been. It sounds like coach speak or coach talk, whatever you call it. It sounds boring, but we've got to treat every game the same, regardless of who we're playing. Again, we're playing 11 players in a jersey. We're not playing a name, none of that piece, and it's about ourselves and doing what we do to the best of our ability.
Talk me through the road trip in between the games. You go from New Jersey to Maryland, those 2 days, Friday, Saturday, between.
We did something that probably no Oregon team or the Oregon team has done either. We went to the Pentagon and got a tour around the Pentagon.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How was that? How did that happen? Tell me about it.
So, Rachel's wife, Courtney, her father is a 4-star general. Yeah, he's a big hitter.
Wow.
And so he organized for our team to have a tour around the Pentagon. So we drove to, after recovery, all those different pieces, drove to DC, did all the security checks and all that stuff, spent an hour and a half in the Pentagon getting shown around, so it was really cool. And then we were fortunate enough to go on base and have dinner over at his house.
So no shock that the defense played well after the visit to
Department
the
of Defense, didn't we? That's where we went. Was it JSOC and all that? Joint Special Forces and all that stuff. That was us. So no, it was really cool. I mean, something that none of us will get to do again. Not letting too many of us in the Pentagon anytime soon. But we got the whole history of the place and 9/11 Memorial, which I thought was really special. So really fortunate. It's always cool to do something on the road, in between, and whenever we get to go east to places we typically don't go. We'll go more in the future, but when we typically don't go to those places, it was cool to do something different.
What do you wear to the Pentagon?
Nike. You got to represent, right? I mean, the amount of people we walked past and we got to go Ducks, it was great.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, the thing you find, there's 15,000 people that work in the place. So what an unbelievable operation, but it was a real privilege to go inside the Pentagon.
And they're all wearing their suits, and you're walking around with Nike sweats, and they just know where you're from.
Oh, no doubt about it. You can't miss us, can you?
That's fantastic. I could spend a whole another hour talking to you about that. But there is another weekend coming up at home. It's the penultimate home weekend of the year actually coming up this upcoming weekend. Indiana on Thursday at 7 o'clock, Purdue on Sunday at 1 p.m. Just going through those two teams, the keys to success against those squads.
I'm gonna sound boring again. It's being us. It's, the pressure that we've been able to get on the ball at home. Being better in possession than what we were this weekend. Valuing the ball more. Obviously, we know the quality we have of our players up top, so we want to get the ball into those guys. And be able to from under the ball, making sure the ball stays in that area of the field. There's going to be two good teams again. Irwin. A ton of respect for him. He's coached in the pro game, the head coach at Indiana. He was a big part of when Duke went to the Final Four a few years ago. So really, really good coach, and then the new coach over at Purdue as well. Who's just gotten there. So two really, really tough games, but again, always fun to play these new opponents.
Coming down the pipeline of the season, there's only 10 conference games, and there's only 12 teams that make the Big Ten tournament. Is that a focus for your team as you move through conference play, is getting through this conference slate and qualifying for that postseason?
Well, the only thing we control is the next game coming up in terms of, our only focus is on Indiana on Thursday. And the only thing that we can play for right now is 3 points, and so it's trying to game to game, week to week, focus on what's directly in front of us and try to stack up as many points up on the board as possible, and then after Washington we'll figure out where we're at, whether we're calling the travel agent or not. I think we've got a team this year that we should be making a phone call to that travel agent, and so to make sure we've got tickets out to Minnesota. So we've just got to focus on that piece, like I said, the game to game piece, to making sure again we're the best version of ourselves.
Fans come out to Pape Thursday at 7, Sunday at 1. What should they know before they come out?
I say every home weekend, get out there and do what you guys have been doing. I think we've got all the student athletes coming out on Sunday as well. Everyone's starting to move in on campus, so that's great. You know what I mean? So we should have a ton of people around, but our community's been phenomenal for us. So as we add the student body back involved as well, we should double our crowd size, be noisy, be loud, cheer our kids on, and let's push us to a couple of positive results this weekend.
So out of the two places that you've been over this weekend, the Pentagon and the Country Financial Studio, where do they compare? Rank them one or two, or are they 1A and 1B?
You guys are my people, right? Right across the road, across the road from my office. So of course, all the time. So it's this Pentagon was cool, but this is even cooler.
Well, we appreciate it, Coach.
No problem.
Go get him. Coach Graham Ael after a road win against Maryland. We're going to step aside, coming back, talking more Oregon athletics on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Who knew Oregon soccer got to go to the Pentagon? What a road trip for Oregon soccer. We're back here, Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. That is so cool. Department of Defense. You know who could be in Oregon's Department of Defense? Maddox Maloney. Yeah, what a segue. Oregon baseball, they're starting off their fall practices. They're actually continuing to practice throughout this month as they ramp up really the start of what is going to be another tremendous season for Oregon baseball. And Maddox Maloney had a really strong freshman year at shortstop. We got to hear from him a little bit earlier last week as he talked with the media going into his sophomore campaign. Let's hear from the shortstop.
Change the way you think of yourself and the way you fit in, maybe the voice you're going to have on this team, or are you going to let things like leadership and that kind of develop as this camp progresses?
Leadership will be figured out the more we get to know the team, like whatever that role is for anybody. But as far as myself, I mean, just going to stick to the same process I did last fall, just get better.
Coming off a year where so much went right for you personally and the team, how easy is it for last season to become your bar, your standard moving forward?
It's easy. I mean, I guess it is easy to look at it that way, but I mean, my standard is just to get better. So it's better than last year as a team. Personally, that's all we can ask for.
Were there big lessons you feel like you learned personally from last year that you took into this summer that you're going to take into this year? Like, hey, I learned that through experience, and therefore I want to be better at whatever it is, XYZ, this year.
I think the biggest lesson I learned was that it's a long season. I mean,
it's a long season for Oregon baseball, and there's a lot of improvement to be done for the Ducks as they go through this year. And man, was it a fun day on the show today. Coach Ulmer, he'll be back in the studio tomorrow. He'll talk with Joey, also athletic director Tuesday, and hearing from Coach Lanning, who will be back on the podium previewing this matchup and reviewing the work week as Oregon will go on the road to UCLA, 8 o'clock this weekend. See you, everybody. Go Ducks.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My grandson, I was gonna have to be here for him. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe.
Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and